Welcome to the Fifth Trooper Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Fifth Trooper Podcast. My name is Jay Shalansky, and joining me today over there is Evan Bulris.
Hey, how's it going?
That's Evan
that's
with this lit up
that's
sky, night sky in the back. I love it. I
you like that?
Yeah, I do.
I take all the X-Wing ships I can't play anymore and just kind of put them up next to it and like have my own adventures.
Oh,
It
that's
actually,
perfect.
I get a lot of migraines, and there's nothing worse than having a migraine. You know, Jay, you get them.
Yeah.
Because you just have to shut off everything.
Yeah.
No light, can't really even watch TV. It sucks. It's just miserable. So
Dude, it's super hard to. So I get that thing. Sorry, everybody, but whatever. I get that thing where I start to get the tunnel vision.
Yep.
So like I know it's on its way, like, and it's like it starts freaking me out, and I'm like, okay, I gotta like pop a bunch of Tylenol, go into the bedroom, shut everything off, and put a pillow over my head and just try to go to sleep. Like that's all I got at that.
yeah.
point, you know?
No, it's so I'm the same way. I hit some Advil and I just pray.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're at work or wherever you're at, so you have to you got to deal, right? So
Yeah.
I got this Starlight thing, and at first this RGB'd out like my keyboard, my desk, and everything, and then I got that, and I had a wicked migraine the other day, and it was just enough light where it didn't bother me, but I could still like do something, like not just be a potato for like 2 hours until like I stop sweating and like the Advil kicks in. But
Good.
and I don't have a green screen, so this is also my like this is what you get. Sorry, no special background.
Well, thanks for joining us again, everyone. I think I want to do a little bit here in the beginning to let you know some changes are coming to this podcast and how we do things. So as some of you know, if you're newer to our podcast, you may not know this, but originally we started talking about Legion. That was our first 80 some odd episodes, was all about Star Wars Legion and really like getting to know Legion, and what we did really was just anecdotal and really talked about our experiences with Legion, talked about what we thought was good and bad, so on and so forth. Then we had season 2, which we've gone about 24 episodes. I think this is 23 or 24, where Evan and I wanted to expand and really talk about other games because, you know, we have more loves than just Star Wars Legion, right? And and we understood that maybe a lot of you that started with us as Star Wars Legion, that was the only miniature game you played, and we've been so happy that you've kind of taken this journey with us.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
so this episode is kind of the special edition last episode of season 2 as we move into season 3. And so season 3 is basically we're going to get back to our roots and we're going to start talking Legion again. But instead of how we used to do it, which was more anecdotal, conversational, what we're going to do is actually start from the beginning. And for newer players, or maybe if you need a refresher because you haven't been playing for a while, and sometimes it could be both of us, sometimes it could just be me, sometimes it could just be Evan. We're basically going to walk you through starting with a core set and then going from there. And what do you do next, right? And so, we've got like the next, I think I've got 20 episodes written down of what to cover, starting right from the beginning. And we're going to head right into casual or tournament play. And that's how this audio version of this podcast is going to play out moving forward after this week's episode. Then, if you really enjoy what Evan and I have been doing as far as interviewing other game developers and talking about other games, that specific is still going to be happening. I think we talked about maybe a bi-monthly or monthly rate, Evan, as we can get people on. And we're actually going to be moving that all to YouTube exclusive. So that'll be exclusively on our YouTube channel. You'll be able to still get that part, Evan and I interviewing people. And then thirdly, the fifth, I'm sure if you're a Patreon subscriber or thought about becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're like, well, what does that mean about After Dark? So like I said, this podcast is going to be strictly from the beginning and kind of walking through every step of getting into Star Wars Legion and all, we'll be going over suppression and cover and how to aim, everything. So, but if you want more in-depth and kind of in an After Dark, like whatever's on our mind sort of scenario on Legion, that's Patreon. So that'll be behind the Patreon. And so, we had a number of episodes of that already in 2020. We're looking to kick that up. And what we're going to do with that too is kind of rotate out all the people of the Fifth Trooper Network. So Scoundrels, Dustin, Bushfax, like everybody that's part of our network, we're going to rotate them through on After Dark and really get what they're really thinking about Legion, which will be exciting.
Yeah, it's just cool to have a place to just talk. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I've only played TTS. Like the last real game of Legion, I think, is when we streamed. I've played, and then I have like my stuff just been like, right, like I've been painting it a little bit, like but it'd be cool just to be able to talk again, just candidly,
Yeah.
about the game. I miss that, and this, especially since we're not going to be doing it. We'll be rotating people in and out. The biggest thing Jay and I got like kind of hung up on when we're doing it like weekly was like, nothing new happened.
Yeah.
We'd look at like notes, right? We're like,
Yeah.
I guess we could talk about this, like,
Yeah.
and to have like, especially if someone rotates out like once a month or something, there's a month behind you of worth of stuff to like talk about, or
Yep.
they haven't been on in a couple months, so they've got a backlog, right? It'd just be,
Right.
you'll have more energetic people talking, and because they'll always have
Yeah.
something on their mind.
And different perspective, right? Because Evan and I, we're friends besides the podcast. So
Yeah.
back before the pandemic and everything, any tournament that I was at, there was a solid chance Evan was at too.
Yeah.
So, or we were playing each other
Yeah.
every Friday night, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it was like most of the stories or
Or just
conversation
the same thing.
was
Yeah.
the same. We were talking about the same thing. So it'll be nice to rotate that out on the Patreon. So that's kind of where we're heading, and we'll be more about that in the next week or so. But today I'm really excited. If you're watching on video, I'm putting it up on the video here. We're talking Cubicle Raiders. Evan, it's here.
It exists. I got to see a
Cubicle
copy.
Raiders.
I got to see a copy before the shutdown.
So, real quick, for those of you maybe who haven't been listening to the podcast or maybe missed the episodes where we talked about it, Cubicle Raiders is a game that I've been working on for about 4 years. It's gone through multiple iterations. Back in 2017, I actually tried to kickstart it to massive failure. And so
Catastrophic.
and that was my own fault. I didn't do it the right way. And I've talked about that. And there's actually a blog post on our website where I actually outline everything that I did wrong with that. But it's back. And so basically what we're doing right now is on the fifthtrooper.com. You could go fifthtrooper.com/Cubicle Raiders. And we are kind of treating it like a Kickstarter. So think about similar how you buy our mats, right? Where we do the pre-order and then they come in a few months. It's similar to that, but I'm not going to place the order until we reach a certain threshold. So really, we just have to sell 100 copies is what it comes down to. And so if you really want to back this and support us and getting this game out, please go check out the fifthtrooper.com/Cubicle Raiders. I'm going to talk, Evan's going to kind of interview me here about the game, but also at the website, we've got a full how to play that I did.
It's pretty slick, yeah.
Animated how to play. There is an intro video, and then also what was it? Sunday night, myself, Mike Dashes from Notorious Scoundrels, Brendan Franz, and Bushman. We all played on TTS because we're actually building a TTS mod as well for the game.
Yeah, that's really smart. That's a good thing. Like something we picked up from Firelock, right, with Oak and Iron. Like soon as the pandemic hit, like, oh, we need a mod, right? Yeah. Just get it out. I don't care. Like
right. And what was so great about that is in let's say, if we're using the Legion mod as an example, the Legion mod is basically like illegal. Not like in the technical sense, but like illegal. It's not supported by Asmodee or FFG or AMG
breaching
now.
IP protocols.
Yeah, it's fan made only, right? Where Firelock said, you know what? Everyone's been supporting us. They've been buying the game. We're going to build a TTS mod so that they can play the game. And it's going to be our own mod. So we know exactly how it should function, which you and I were super happy about. Right. And that's where
cool.
where we got our first Oak and Iron games.
Yeah. They even ran their own like tournament, right? Like officially sponsored. Like
campaign. It was awesome.
Like why not? Like that seems such like an untapped. Like they're leading the charge on that kind of like how to not to get too much on top, but how do like miniature games and how do board
Yeah,
games come out in a
agreed.
pandemic when you can't get with people, like, so that's really cool. So that's why we did it, because it
Yeah,
was a
so
good idea. Like, it was
that's
a great
exactly
idea.
right. We're
Yeah.
taking a page right out of their book, and we're releasing. So on Sunday, you guys saw my second test run through the mod. I have some edits and changes that I have to make, but I'm hoping by next week we'll have the full mod in the workshop on TTS. So you'll be able on Steam. So you'll be able to get that hopefully next week, and be able to play the game. But yeah, so you could see a playthrough of that. You could get all the info on the game, and you can back it right now. And now Evan is going to. You prepared any questions, Evan, or are you going to wing it?
I had a couple. So I did
All right.
want to. We talked about Cubicle Raiders actually, like, way back. So there's an episode where we talked about it.
Yeah,
I want to say like season two or three.
yeah, I think so.
So I was trying to come up with different ways not to ask the same thing, but to, now that things have changed, right? Because it's
Yeah,
gone through. We've had like Dash work on it as well now, right? Like,
yeah.
we've had other contributors to it. So uh excuse me, sir. This is Evan from the Associated Press Daily. Online. Um, how many, like, who are the contributors now? Who actually worked on this to
Yeah.
get like a finished product?
So there's three. There's basically three major contributors that myself. I did the original dev and the art. I've done the art and everything. Then early on, actually Jeremy, who was on
Mhm.
our stream for King of the Hill before we had to go back in lockdown again. He was early on in dev, so he's one of the early contributors. And so, like, if you guys end up getting it in the booklet, it'll be developed, designed, I think we called it, but designed by myself, Jeremy, and then Mike Dashes. So
Mike
Mike
Dashley.
Dashes Barry. And the reason the three of us is one, I did the design work and most of the original dev work. And oh, sorry, my hair just got all crazy. It's freaking me out in the Zoom.
I ruined it. It's over. Ruined it.
Sorry. Oh my God. There, everybody. So anyways, yeah, so and then Jeremy was kind of instrumental in a lot of the rules and mechanics early on. And then Dash took a hold of it this past year as something that we were like, hey, let's try to do Cubicle Raiders because we want to start making our own games. And so Dash took a hold of it, Mike, and really set up the play testers and wrote some new rules for it that really mechanically made it a lot more balanced.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because what had happened was we had our first iteration, which was super balanced, right? And this was the
Yeah.
one we kickstarted with. But then what happened was we failed the Kickstarter, and we had a lot of play testing and had a lot of notes from play testers and other game developers at the time.
hmm
And so it kind of went through like a retooling that Jeremy and I were working on, but then it kind of got abandoned as we started the fifth trooper, right? I kind of like
Sure.
pushed it to the side. I was like, all right, let's focus on the podcast and the network and everything. And then I just kind of like threw that at Dashes. And so the second iteration was really unbalanced, and I was adding more interactive pieces to it, but I hadn't
Yeah.
really like fleshed them all out yet. And so Dash and Bushman, and David Zelenka, Endless, and let's see who else. Evan, I think you did some play
hmm
testing. Zach from the Notorious Scoundrels did some play testing. You guys all really play tested it and tested these new rules that Mike and John and everybody were working on. And so that's how we got to where we are.
All right, cool. So what would you, let's say I didn't watch the video and I
Yeah.
see it on the shelf
Yeah.
somewhere. What's a current game that is most comparable to it? So I have some frame of reference to talk about it on.
Sure. Let's see. So a current game. It's kind of like it's almost like a mix between shit. It's like a mix.
Got him.
Well,
Got him, folks.
so current games, it's kind of like a mix between a couple games because it's very much like a party game where anybody casual to novice or expert player can pick it up.
Mhm.
But then it's also like there's some worker placement. So it's like a
Okay.
mix of a couple different, like easy to pick up like a king of Tokyo, but then also there's also like a little bit more thought and process you could put into it, like a Settlers of Catan, right? So it's a very wide mix between a bunch of different games, because originally what I wanted to do was to make sure that, let's say, Evan, you're an avid gamer, right?
Hmm.
Well, let's say you were getting together with three friends who maybe weren't as big into gaming as you and I are, and you wanted an easy, fun game that everybody could relate to.
Okay.
And so that's kind of, the idea behind this. There's a lot of luck-based stuff in here, but also it's a good mix between luck and kind of like strategy.
Sure. So the way I look at it is like it's a set collecting game where you're there's 4 or 5 different kinds of resources and you're collecting them
Yeah.
in hopes to gamble on the next time when you get to turn in for points, your things you're collecting give you big points.
Yeah.
So it is set in an office environment, which put a pin on that. I'll get back to that.
Yeah.
But so the idea is you're playing a character and you have other like character cards that can help you get um these different items, and then you
Yep.
get the items, and then every round a new card is drawn to tell you what's worth what. So like
Yep.
pens are worth a point a pen, or tape. I did big tape. Tape is worth like 4 for 1, so they're not a good value this time. But if I hold them, maybe
Yeah.
I can like hold out for better points. So it's like a easy set collecting
Yeah.
character like combo. Like it's asymmetrical. So everybody's got a different
Yep.
power and ability.
Which
So it
making
makes you
it
feel special.
balanced was really hard when it like
Feels
Mike
bad.
brought
Yeah.
this up on Sunday. He was
Yeah.
like, making asymmetrical games is tough to balance, but I think they did a great job. And so basically, the elevator pitch is that you're a manager you just got hired at a new company. But at this company, in order to get your seniority points to get your promotion, you got to collect office supplies and find them throughout the office to trade them in. And so Evan was saying, like, the set collecting is the supplies that you need to trade in, but then also you can hire other employees to join your team, and then they have different effects on the game, so that you're trying to earn more points. And then at the end of the game, whoever has the most seniority points wins,
Hmm. Yeah.
and
So
you, and you
it's
get
pretty
the
cool.
promotion.
It plays
Yeah.
quick. So like, what, like 45 minutes, half an hour, I think
Yeah,
is
I would
what's
say
on the
the
box.
the first time you play through it, when you're teaching somebody the game, it's an hour, but then
Yeah. Yeah.
after that it's 30 to 45 minutes. Yeah. And really, we were talking about this on the live stream on Sunday, is that what the idea behind it is, that and I mean, if you guys are watching on the YouTube or if you're listening, the box is 5 inches by 5 inches by 2 inches. So really, you should be able to toss this in your bag or your Legion bag or whatever other game, and at a tournament or at a big event, Evan, you and I could grab two people, and in between rounds, we could shoot the shit, and we could play the game.
Yeah.
And
It's meant
that,
to be
yeah,
super casual, super quick, right?
yeah,
Because there are times in X-Wing where the game lasts like 15 minutes. We jousted, didn't go well for one guy, and there's an hour and a half or an hour or
right,
so left in the round. So you're
yeah,
not always at a convention. Sometimes you're at like a VFW or something. You're like, well, I guess we can just sit. So having that is really good. So you can do something with the other guy.
yeah,
I used to keep a game called Shiba Inu House. It was you'd have these little, everyone gets a deck of cards, and you would have a part of a house on it, and you'd have to build this house. Like someone would flip a card to see what you have to build, and you'd flip it, and then you'd
yeah.
slap your hand in the middle, try to grab something. So that was great. So that's the same kind of thing, except less frantic and card throwing, more just fun and casual, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is too, like, when we were thinking about this, and I was really thinking about, like, for instance, one of the things I really liked about Keyforge was it's a game that you can just play in between, like, you bring a deck
Hmm.
and you just play in between rounds of other games. But the thing I didn't like about Keyforge is, if you didn't know how to play or you never played it, it'd be real hard for you to get up to speed within between two rounds of Legion, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so even if I had an extra deck for you, where with this game, I feel like even if you've never touched the game, like Brendan played Sunday night, he'd never played the game before, and literally we taught him on the fly, and it was he picked it up relatively easy.
Cool. Yeah. I've got other complaints about Keyforge
Yeah,
besides.
sure.
No,
Maybe
when
a
you said that,
bad,
I'm like,
maybe
oh, that's the thing that you didn't like. Okay, that's
maybe a
fair.
rabbit hole of.
Yeah.
I didn't mean that, but you know
No,
what I
it's
meant.
fine.
Like
I was just like, oh yeah, that's pretty. That's a wholesome thing to not be
that's the
happy
thing
about.
you didn't like about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, that's fair. My camera's a little. All right, there we go.
yeah, right.
Oh, good. All right. So office theme.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah. I felt like not offices in particular, but just working. Like everyone's had a job, right? And at some point, even in fast food, there's a manager, and there's an office, and there's an assistant manager, and even in construction, there's a manager and there's an office. Like
Hmm.
that's just one of those consistent things. I think, especially on the U.S. level, is that there's always something with a job. There's always similarities, and so for me, being from corporate America, right, like that was the thing I kind of leaned on. And at the time too, funny story was, this started as a space game. So instead
Okay.
of a manager, you were a captain of a ship, and instead of going to different departments to find supplies, you were going to different planets or solar systems to find
Like resources.
minerals, yeah,
Yeah.
on planets, right? And so, but at the time, I think when we were getting ready to like start thinking about art and all that stuff, there was like a million space games at that
Yeah.
time, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, well, how do we set ourselves apart? I was like, what's something that everybody can relate to, no matter whether you're into games or not, right? Because not everybody likes Star Wars, not everybody likes Marvel or pirates or ninjas or zombies. So what's something that everybody has experienced probably once in their life? And I was like, work, right? And
Yeah.
so it was really just taking that and then playing off the theme of work and thinking about everybody that you've worked with and then making a like an
Oh, yeah.
exaggerated character around that person, right?
No, sure. Yeah, yeah. It's actually you did. Who did all the art for it?
I did. Yeah.
You did. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so going off that, like, do you have like favorite characters or anything you really are proud of in the art design?
Yeah, I think so. I love I think the thing I like the most that we did, I think I might have done most of the quotes, but definitely people added quotes in. So on every character card, whether it's a manager or one of the supplementary
Get some flavor
characters,
text.
yeah, I wanted there to be flavor text. Like that was my biggest thing. Like I'm like, I don't care how anything else turns out. I want flavor text in there so that you really get to know the character. And
No, sure.
so between the like, I did little like snapshot pictures of all the characters and then the flavor text. I know you'll look at it and you'll be like, oh, I know that person. Like
Yeah.
I know her or I know him, but yeah, I loved doing that and the way that it all just kind of, it's weird. Sometimes when you're doing creative stuff like that, you can run into blocks and blocks and blocks and you don't
Hmm.
really connect the dots sometimes. But then sometimes you'll just have these moments of clarity where everything just kind of lines up. And this was one of those things where I was just like, I was never in doubt. The mechanics have changed a bunch, but I was never in doubt about the theme. Once we settled on the office theme, it just all clicked from there and like everything made sense, if
That's
you know what
awesome.
I mean. And
No, sure.
like so the recruits in the game, these are people that you can use your seniority points to recruit to your team and they give you more abilities and stuff. They actually, all their artwork is their ID cards. So basically the card you would get when you go to a new corporation, they take that crappy picture of you and then put it in an ID card, and that's how you get in and out of the
Hmm.
building. And so all their stuff is on ID cards. Of Originally the managers were all going to be on ID cards too. But then along the line, I think when we were doing the Kickstarter, I came up with these alt arts that were their personnel file, and then like a snapshot, like a Polaroid image of them after they'd had the crap beaten out of them looking for supplies. And
Yeah.
then that kind of stuck as I was like, oh no, this is way too good to like have as like an alt art. Maybe we do it
Yeah.
if we
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
to a certain amount. So
That's awesome.
yeah, that was a ton of fun to do too.
So let's talk this being one of your favorite subjects, like logistics
Yeah.
of getting this done. So like take me through. I got my game.
Yep.
I made it. I've got the ideas. I just need things made. Like what do I do? Where do I even go for that?
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is I've noticed, and when we were kickstarting and we talked to like a lot of we talked to a lot of manufacturers and we talked to other game developers. And a lot of the times when people go into a Kickstarter, especially if they've never done this before, they they set a price without really understanding what their full cost is going to be. So they say, I'm going to make this game for $25. And sometimes it doesn't work that way. And so what I did, which surprised, and I know it surprised them because when I called the manufacturers for pricing, they were like, wait, you don't even have your Kickstarter up yet? And I'm like, no, I don't know how much this is going to cost. So I did it more from like a product focus versus
Gotcha.
a Kickstarter focus, which was part of the problem, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So what I did was I knew all the components that I wanted and I just went out and got pricing for it. And I think one of the things a lot of people make mistakes on is that they don't adjust for what we have in the product world. What you have is your cost, but then your fully landed cost. Okay.
Okay.
And the difference between those is your cost is I went to a manufacturer, I gave them my components list. They gave me a minimum order quantity or MOQ of, let's say, 1,000. And they said at 1,000, this game is going to cost X. Let's say it's for a $25 game. Let's say it's $10, right? Or $12. So that's $12. So a lot of people, what they do is they take that number and they go, my cost is $12. I can actually mark this down to 20. And now I'm making $8 per game. Fully landed cost is, depending on where you're getting your game from, most likely China, because they're the manufacturing capital right now. Some manufacturing in the US, you have to put in your shipping costs. So how much is it going to cost to get from the factory to your home? But then you also have to put in the import tax costs, because there's that doesn't even get estimated until it's in the dock in the USA. Then your shipping company calls you and they go, hey, you got $1,000 bill here just to get your stuff into the United States. And then you add that all up, and then that's your fully landed cost. So now that, what did I say? It was $12. So that $12 game is now actually $15 or $16. And if you already set your cost at $20, well, you've just lost $4.
Yeah.
And now it may be impractical for you to do it because
It doesn't seem that $4 doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you're talking thousands upon thousands of units, it adds up pretty quick.
It does. And because you're not adding in, the other thing, this isn't people who are doing games, but just in general, this is my thoughts for people in general, is people don't put a value amount to their time.
Mm-hmm.
You and I talk about this all the time, right? Evan, personally, is what could I be doing in this amount of time if it's not A, making you money, or B, something you really, really enjoy?
Mm-hmm.
Then why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Unless it's something you have to do. Like,
yeah.
I don't like doing dishes or cleaning the house.
Yeah.
But if I don't, Rachel chokes me out. And so I have no, but you know what I mean? Like really putting a value to your time. And so that has to go into kind of thinking about, okay, with this game, right? I did all the artwork. I did all the design. So let's say I'm not even going to estimate that time into cost, right? Because that's 4 years of work, right? I'll never recoup that really, unless we sell 1 million of this game. But what I need to look at is, okay, now I'm getting the game. Now I have to pack it and ship it, or I have to deal with all this other stuff. So what's that cost worth? And then trying to, you know what I mean? And trying to adjust that into the game as well.
No, that's fair. So we mentioned the Kickstarter a few times.
Yeah.
The OG one. So I know we've talked about this before, but give me a like a middle of the road explanation about what happened the first time and what we're changing this time.
So originally, why it failed and what we changed to make it work
like
time?
because we've talked like, hey, on our other one it's like, hey, I just marketed it the wrong way, I didn't go these places, but not to retread too much, but sure.
Well, I mean, honestly, we didn't have you guys at home is basically what the difference is. Is that I tried to do it in a more traditional marketing way, which is by advertising, like invest in all this other stuff, where I thought that would work. But what I was missing was an audience, right? I didn't have an audience to talk to and to get to support the product. Where now we have you guys. You guys have been so supportive of us. and really, listening to all our media and enjoying all our content that we create and our mats that we've been developing. And so now we have an audience that is willing to back us on all these crazy endeavors that we're on, and that's the big difference between then and now. The other big difference too is, even though we're treating it like a Kickstarter, it may still survive and work, even though, like, if we get close to the dollar amount, like with Kickstarter, let's say you set up a $10,000 amount that you're trying to reach. If you reach $9,950, that Kickstarter doesn't go off and those people don't get charged.
Mhm.
So in our instance, if we get really close, close enough that it's reasonable, like we'll still fund and still,
We'll still fire it. Yeah.
yeah, we'll still fire it. But I need to gauge that interest first from you guys, the audience, to see if you're willing to back us on this. And if you are, then we're willing to put in the some of the rest of the money to make it happen.
Gotcha. Cool. So, yeah, like last time it was, actually scratch that question because I was going to ask the same thing kind of a different way, but like, are we doing any reviews or anything with this? Are we sending it out to anybody?
Yeah, so I'm working on that now. I've sent a couple emails out and contacted some. The tricky part is reviewers are backed up, the good ones anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also some of them have rules where they won't review games that aren't already out in the market. Like, they have all these weird rules. So
Mhm.
I'm just trying to find the ones that'll review it and get it in their hands. And yeah, hopefully within the next month and a half that we'll definitely have people reviewing it.
Awesome. So,
Yeah.
let's say I want in on this grift, Jay. Where do I get this?
Yeah, so if you go to our website, thefifthtrooper.com, you'll see banners all over, but you could go to fifthtrooper.com/Cubicle Raiders, and that'll get you to it. And then, like I said, we have it set up. It almost looks exactly like Kickstarter on the product page.
Mhm.
And you can either choose the Cubicle Raiders reward, which is $30, or you can put in any dollar amount. If you don't want to spend the $30, or you don't have the $30 and you just want to give us like $2 or $3 to just help us support the campaign, you can do that as well.
Excellent. Cool. And what, because I've put one in for myself because I want to play. It's cool to
Yeah.
have something that you've made or
Yeah.
that you were part of, just even like on the shelf, right? Like what, if it does fire, what time are we looking? Like, what's the prox?
So I have the campaign going till the end of February, just to give everybody time to, because I know we announce things, but sometimes maybe you guys don't get paid for a couple of weeks, or or maybe you won't have the money till next month. Like, so we want to give people plenty of time. So it's going through the end of February, and then I think reasonably April we can turn it around.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fired, sent to the producer.
Yeah.
They make it, ship back.
Yep.
And in your hands, right?
Yeah. So the difference too, the reason we're doing this, so with Kickstarter, is we don't get the money until it's successful. And then Kickstarter takes 10%.
Yeah.
Right?
That's actually quite a bit.
With this, we are actually taking the money right now. And then if we don't make it, if we're not going to end up doing, we're going to refund everybody. But we're taking the money now so that if we get like 2 days or 3 days before the end of the thing and we're real close to making it, I'll fire it anyways and go right to the manufacturer. So that speeds the process up. And then, as you guys, if you're watching on the YouTube, we've already had a bunch prototypes printed. So we're already prepped with the manufacturer. So then I just have to go back to them and put in the full order, and it'll be good to go. And they're really good about turning stuff around. And there isn't a ton of crazy components in this that are outside the realm of gaming,
just like
so
with
it's
chits and meeples and cards.
it's a deck of cards, a die, some we do have the little chits for the seniority points and the supplies, but it's nothing like groundbreaking as far as components are concerned.
No, sure. Excellent. Anything else you want to add, Jay?
No, I think just the last thing would be, like, we really appreciate any support you guys can give to us. I can tell you that this is the first of many games we want to develop. So if we can successfully do this and you guys show us that you're interested in this, we want to do more. And so I really would hope that you guys back us and support us. I mean, you're going to get a great game, I think. And if you have any questions, reach out. We'll answer any questions that you guys have.
Excellent. I think that's all of my questions for this.
All right. Yeah. So again, thanks everybody for listening. Starting next week, this will be a beginner's guide to Legion podcast. And then all our interview stuff, Evan and I have some really cool interview ideas lined up that we're going to be doing. Those will all be on YouTube exclusive. And then if you want extended, like really in-depth Legion stuff, you can get that on our Patreon.
Definitely. Yeah. Excellent. All right.
So-
Hey, thanks, Jay.
Yeah. Thanks, Evan.
Hey, thanks me. All right.
Yeah. And thank you guys for listening and supporting
Definitely.
us and being there for us. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you guys sometime in the future. Hopefully there's events and we can meet you guys.
Excellent. Everyone, stay rad.
Adios.
Join us next week for another edition of the 5th Trooper podcast.